Shalom Yasharallah. This Malak to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. This next video I'm doing is going to get into hidden history. The main lesson today is going to be on Deuteronomy 28 and Lamentations 5. Okay, we're going to skip around, get some understanding about the history of African American, Native American, and Latin Americans according to the Bible, right? I'm going to start with showing you how the Most High feels about the nation of Israel, because in my last video, Iconoclast, I made some statements that the Most High has a favorite people that he loves and other people he hates or he doesn't deal with, right? So I want to start this video just closing that off and proving what I was saying. Okay, I'm going to show you how the Most High feels about Israel and how he feels about all these other nations in the world today. Okay, because like I said, yeah, the Most High is more complicated than we believe him to be, more complicated than we imagine him to be. We want a simple, loving, all-loving guy, but the Most High has emotions, and just like you have emotions and you have feelings and thoughts and bias and opinions, the Most High is complicated, and he's not all love. There's Exodus 15:13 says, 15:3 says, the Lord is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. Okay, so he's not all love. There's a lot of different sides to the Creator, which created everything, but out of everything, he chose a certain group of people. He has favorite creations, okay? And it's not unrighteous for the only entity that deserves, right? The only entity that deserves to be any bias or any type of, show any type of favoritism is the one who created everything. Okay, just like you have favorite clothes, favorite shoes, favorite music, favorite sport you play, or favorite color, whatever it is, the Most High exhibits favoritism throughout the Bible, especially with the nation of Israel, and I'm going to prove that, okay? So let's go to Exodus chapter 4, verse 22. Exodus chapter 4, verse 22, just to get a introduction on how the Most High feels about his people. Exodus 4:22, and thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. Okay, so right off the bat, Israel is referred to as the Most High's son, even his firstborn. Okay, so when you're dealing with the firstborn child, especially dealing with the Bible, the firstborn child receives the inheritance from his father, whether it be the his land, right, his vineyards, whatever it might be. The firstborn son gets the inheritance, and Israel is, for all intents and purposes, there is a relationship between Israel and the Most High as being father and son. Okay, we're going to keep going just to give you a little bit more. Deuteronomy 7 and 6. All right, more on how the Most High feels about Israel. Yasharallah. Okay, Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6. Okay, Deuteronomy 7 verse 6. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Okay, so glad we got this out the way right off the bat. Just like I said, there's a special relationship between Israel and the Most High. We learned that there's a relationship as father and son, and now in Deuteronomy 7:6 we're learning that Israel is a holy people unto God, right? A special people, a chosen people. And not only that, but they are above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Okay, there is no equality with the Most High, with God in this Bible. There's no equality as far as everyone wanting to believe that everyone is equal and we're all human and we all bleed red blood and all this other nonsense, which is what it is, because these other nations don't exhibit equality when it comes to this justice system or these political advantages and socio-economical advantages and oppression that we still go through, okay, and that they still benefit from. So they only believe in equality when it benefits them, okay? When it's wartime, they want to scream equality and scream love, but their record shows that they have no love for us. And this is getting into that iconoclast thing. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Okay, we'll get into a different video, an in-depth video of who Edom is, because there's still a lot of confusion amongst the nation of Israel who Edom is, and it's not very hard to understand. Precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. It makes sense if you connect everything the Bible says about this nation. Okay, but I'm gonna read this over just to get it clear in your head. There is no equality with the Most High as far as who he has chosen and the other people he created. Okay, for thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Okay, it's real simple. Let's go to 2nd Esdras 5:23. 2nd Esdras 5:23. Okay. 2nd Esdras chapter 5 verse 23. And said, O Lord, that bearest rule of every wood of the earth, and of all the trees thereof, thou hast chosen thee one only vine. Okay, so this is getting into some of the Most High's favorite creations. Like I said, he created all things. He has a right to have favorites of his own creation. Okay. And said, O Lord, that bearest rule of every wood of the earth, and of all the trees thereof, thou hast chosen thee one only vine. And of all the lands of the whole world, thou hast chosen thee one pit, and of all the flowers thereof one lily. Okay, and I want to stop right there and address the lily. The lily is the Most High's favorite, his favorite plant, right? Or his favorite flower is the lily, and that's what you people ignorantly call the Star of David, or the Jewish star. That represents the lily. Okay, the Most High's favorite flower. Let's keep going. Verse 25. And of all the depths of the sea, thou hast filled thee one river, and of all the built cities thou hast hallowed Zion unto thyself, and of all the fowl that are created thou hast named thee one dove, and of all the cattle that are made, thou hast provided thee one sheep. And among all the multitudes of the people, thou hast gotten thee one people. And unto this people whom thou lovest, thou gavest a law that is approved of all. And now, O Lord, why hast thou given this one people over unto many? And upon the one root hast thou prepared others, and why hast thou scattered thy only one people among many? Okay, so this after this passage in Second Esdras, where we are reading about the Most High's favorite creation, it says that he chose one people out of all the people he created. Okay, and then it ends with the question. Okay, if we are his chosen people, why are we scattered among all these nations? Why are these other people ruling over us, right? Let's read it again. It says, and among all the multitudes of people, thou hast gotten thee one people. And unto this people whom thou lovest, thou gavest a law that is approved of all. And now, O Lord, why hast thou given this one people over unto many? And upon the one root hast thou prepared others. And why hast thou scattered thy only one people among many? Okay, and we're going to get into why this is. Why, if Israel is the Native American, the Latin American, and the African American, why, if these are God's chosen people, why are they in the condition they're in, right? We're going to get into answering this. Okay. Let's go to, we have to keep going on how the Most High feels about us, because it's hard for a lot of people to understand that the Most High doesn't deal with equality. And though he created us all for different purposes. Okay? And there are, in fact, people above other people in the eyes of the Most High. Okay, Israel is the apple of his eye. Right? Let's go to, just to get a little bit more on this favorite creation stuff. Right? Second Esdras chapter 6 verse 54. Okay? Second Esdras chapter 6 verse 54. And after these Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all. And the people also whom thou hast chosen. Okay? So out of Adam is born everybody. That's out of Adam come we all. But out of all these people, God has chosen one people, right? And after these Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creature, of him come we all. And the people also whom thou hast chosen. All this I have spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. Okay? So Esdras is telling you that this whole world was made for our sakes. Even the people in it that the Most High says we are above. These people, these other creations were all made for the sake of the Israelites. And that's all biblical. Okay? And we're going to keep going. It says, all this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. As for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle. And thou hast likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. And now, O Lord, behold, these heathen which have ever been reputed as nothing have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, okay, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands. If the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure? Okay, so going back to that same question when we were describing the Most High's favorite creations, if we are His favorite, why do we not rule this earth? Okay, and we're going to get into this at length, right? Let's go to Psalms 147:19. Psalms 147:19. Right? Psalms 147:19. It says, He showeth His word unto Jacob, His statutes and His judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for His judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. Okay, so this Bible is the word of the Most High. He showeth His word unto Jacob, His statutes and His judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation. Okay, so Israel is His firstborn. Israel is the chosen, holy, special people above all nations. Okay, and everything this Bible has to offer, all the blessings, all the promises, all the covenants, these are pertaining to one nation, and we'll get that in a second. But it says, He showeth His word unto Jacob, His statutes and His judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for His judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. Okay, we're going to get into just a little bit more of this real quick. Isaiah 40:15. It's always a good one, just to, because what I said in Second Esdras about, well, I'm going to get it. You're going to hear it again. It's the same thing in a different book. Same thing I was talking about with everybody comes out of Adam, but there's a special people that He chose. Same thing. You're going to, actually, let's go to Daniel 4:35 first, and then we'll go to Isaiah. Daniel 4:35. Okay, Daniel 4:35. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he doeth according to His will in the army of heaven, and among the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay His hand or say unto Him, What doest thou? Okay, this goes back into Him being the creator of all things and having a right to have favorites, and then shunning the other nations, right? He has a right to do this. Nobody can stay His hand or say unto Him, What doest thou? Okay, all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and He doeth according to His will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth. So He does what He wants in heaven, and He does what He wants on earth. Okay, and none can stay His hand or say unto Him, What doest thou? Okay, now we're going to go to Isaiah 40:15. Isaiah 40:15, and this is all going to tie together, and it should be making sense to you now, but this whole Bible is set up to where you know that Israel is His favorite in every case, in every scenario. He puts His money on Israel to do His will and to carry out His plan and to be the light of the world. Okay, so Isaiah 40:15, it says, Behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket, and are counted as the small dust of the balance. Behold, He taketh up the isles as a very little thing, and Lebanon is not sufficient to burn, nor the beast thereof sufficient for a burnt offering. All nations before Him are as nothing, and they are counted to Him less than nothing and vanity. So He does not care about these other nations. He created them for a purpose, and their purpose is to serve His chosen people, the nation of Israel, Yasharallah. Okay, so in other lessons, we're gonna get even deeper into the relationship between the Most High and Yasharallah or Israel, because like I said, this is their history. This is our history as Native, Latin, and African Americans, okay? And we're going to get into how we know this in this same lesson. All right. Let's see. Let's go to Amos 3, because in 2nd Esdras, there were questions when we were going over his favorite creations and his chosen people and the other people that come out of Adam. There were questions posed by the prophet Isaiah or Esdras, and he was asking, if we are his chosen people, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? Why are we not ruling? Okay, why is the kingdom not being restored to us at this time? Okay. What was I about to say? Amos 3. Amos 3 and 2. Or actually, we can probably start with 1. Okay, Amos 3 and 1. Hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt. Okay, remember this, because this is going to be important in this lesson, the land of Egypt. Hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. Can two walk together except they be agreed? Okay, so we learned that Israel has a relationship as being the Most High's firstborn, his son. Okay, so it says, you only have I known. He never made a relationship like this or a covenant, which we'll get into also. The covenant we made with the Most High, which is what this is talking about. We are the only people he dealt with, like it says in Psalms 147, 19 and 20. Okay, so it says, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. Just like a father discipline his child when the child is going off, or when they not paying attention, but listening and obeying instructions. Okay, obedience, fear and respect. If they're not in line with the will of the Father, then they get punished and they get corrected. Okay, so therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. Can two walk together except they be agreed? This is going back to the covenant that Israel made with the Most High. When Moses delivered us out of Egypt and gave our forefathers the 10 Commandments, we agreed to keep and walk in the ways of the Most High. Keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay, and we're going to get into this, because this is this lesson right here is really the reason I did the first 2 videos. The first 2 videos were milk into a little bit of history, so the true people of the Bible, the 12 tribes who are scattered abroad, can understand and make a relation to history through the Bible, their true history. Okay, so we made a covenant with the Most High that we would do everything he told us to do. Right, we're gonna get into the meat of the lesson. Turn to Deuteronomy 11. Okay, Deuteronomy 11, verse 26. Okay, so we're going to start answering these 3 questions that Esdras and Amos posed, right? Not Amos, but the questions that Esdras posed, and what we answered with Amos, right? or where we began to enter with Amos. Deuteronomy 11 verse 26. Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing if ye obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you this day. And a curse if you will not obey the commandments of the Lord your God, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day, to go after other gods which ye have not known. Okay? And so this is getting into the commandments that we were given by Moses. Okay? We agreed to keep these commandments, these laws, statutes, and commandments, and we're going to get into what happened after the agreement, right? A brief overview about what happened afterwards coming into this present time. Okay, we're going to try to build a overview, a general biblical timeline from biblical days to the present. Okay, so we just learned that these commandments, if we obey them, obey is the key word. If we obey the words and we keep the commandments, then it will be a blessing to us. If we don't keep the commandments and don't obey the Most High, and we break the covenant that we made with the Most High, then it will be a curse. Okay, and we'll start learning why. Okay, let's go to Jeremiah. Because before I do that, the Iconoclast video and the Black is Beautiful video is setting you up to understand that the people in Israel today are not the people of the Bible. The Jewish people, the Ashkenazi Jews, the Khazars, these are converts to Judaism, but they are not the original people of the Bible. And we're gonna start getting into this, okay? These other people are imposters, and this is part of the reason why our history and our heritage, who we are, has been lost to the world, or lost to us, I should say. All right, let's go to Jeremiah 17:4. That's what I wanted. Jeremiah 17:4. Okay, so these people in the land of Israel are saying that they are the people of the Bible. Okay, and we're gonna prove that that is a lie. That's what it is. It's a lie. It's not true. Okay, Jeremiah 17 verse 4. Okay, it says this is speaking to the Israelites. Okay, it says, and thou even thyself shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in my anger which shall burn forever. Okay, so this right here, just going back to everything I've been talking about thus far, us losing our heritage, our history, our language, our cultures, our God. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, and like we just read in Deuteronomy 11, the commandments that were given to us presented us with a choice to choose the blessing that the Most High had ready for us, or to choose the curse, which was equally ready, right? It was a choice of free will, just like a lot of people want to say free will this, free will that. Why would he create these things and allow these things? This confusion, right? But for there to be free will, he has to create balance in the world. He has to give you choices. If he only gave you a perfect world, right, then it wouldn't be free choice. You wouldn't have any other path to go down that you were able to choose. This is a world of options, opportunity cost, a blessing and a curse, life or death. It's your choice, right? So let's read this again, Jeremiah 17:4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. Okay, so we're going to keep going on this, discontinuing from our heritage and the past, present, and the future, right? Well, past and present for this lesson. We'll get into more future things in a different video. But next verse, let's go to Psalms 83. That's a good place to start. That's a good place to finish. That's a good place to make a whole video about, really. Psalms chapter 83. Let's get that. Psalms chapter 83. Okay, just like I said, the Most High has favorites. He loves one people, which is the nation of Israel. He doesn't care for other people. There's a reason why the Most High cannot express love to these people. Is because they don't love him back. He knows from the jump that these people won't keep his commandments, won't follow him, won't fear him, as is evident with these idols they set up and these false gods they set up. Okay, it says Psalms chapter 83 verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Okay, so this is a prayer asking God not to keep silent in our affliction and our oppression, right? These people who hate you are they make a tumult, which is a gathering, a loud gathering, a boisterous gathering, right? They that hate thee have lifted up the head. There are people, these enemies of the Most High, hate him. Okay, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Okay, so we know the Most High's favorite people is Israel. And these people who are the Most High's enemies, these people who hate the Most High, it says they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Why are we hidden? Okay, we're hidden because we don't know who we are. We're hidden from the world. Like I said, this is all going into us losing our heritage. Okay. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. Okay. That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Okay. So the real Israelites, the true Hebrew Israelites, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, for the most part, do not know who they are. Okay? And this is proof of that. This is proof of the enemies of God who will get into the Bible actually names the people who are involved in us discontinuing from our heritage, right? Let's read it one more time. It says, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. Okay? These are multiple nations coming together, making plans against the Most High's chosen people, to cut them off from being a nation, to cut them off from their heritage, to cut them off from remembering who they are and from the world remembering who they are. Okay, and this goes back into the iconoclast video. Okay, them destroying our religious images and replacing them with their own. Okay, it says, they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom. Okay, we touched on Edom a little bit in the last video, which is iconoclast. The Edomites are the biblical identity of the Caucasian race, the so-called white man, right? Esau, Edom, Edomites, Idumea. These are all terms that refer to the same nation of people, the Caucasian race, right? The tabernacles of Edom is one of God's enemies, one of the nation of people who hate the Most High. And we know this from their actions, okay? Love is not just a word, it's an action, right? The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites. The Ishmaelites are the Arabs. And we're going to get into this because it's a lot of confusion with who Edom is and if Edom is the Arabs or the white man. And we're going to get into this because the Ishmaelites are the Arabs, okay? They even themselves still remember and understand themselves to be the sons of Ishmael, okay? So the Ishmaelites, which are the Arabs, of Moab, which are the Chinese, the biblical identity for the Chinese nation, okay? And the Hagarenes, which are Africans, Jabal, which are Africans, and Ammon, which is the Japanese, and Amalek, okay? Amalek is those white Jews, not white Jews, Salaki, white fake Jewish people, those Khazars, those converts, those imposters, the bastards, the thieves, right? These people are named as God's enemy as well, okay? And there's plenty of different precepts to show how much the Most High hates these specific nations and why that is, right? But it says Jabal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre, okay, more Africans. Asher also is joined with them, and they have hope in the children of Lot. Asher is the Assyrians, okay? So these are all different nations of people that came together to create the conditions for our demise and our ultimate stagnant position at the bottom of every society we live in, okay? Let's do Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 26. Deuteronomy 32, verse 26. It says, okay, we're going to keep going on these people that are in the land of Israel today, those white people, those Edomites, who are also known as Amalek, okay? These are not the true people of the Bible, and the Bible proves that, okay? I'm gonna just give you this little bit of information, then I'll touch back on it when we get to those verses, right? The Israelites did not keep the commandments. So, like I said, it would be a blessing if we obeyed the commandments, and it would be a curse if we didn't. Long story short, which we'll edify later, we did not keep the commandments, and therefore we became victim to these curses that the Most High set before us. Right? Deuteronomy 32, verse 26. I said I would scatter them into corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Okay, so we learn Jeremiah 17:4 that we would discontinue from our heritage, and that the Most High would send our enemies against us. Okay, Psalms 83, we just read that these nations came together to cause the nation of Israel to cease, the remembrance of Israel to cease among men. Okay, and for the nation of Israel to be no more, right? So it says, I will scatter them into corners. I will make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Were it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy, lest their adversaries should behave themselves strangely, and lest they should say, our hand is high, and the Lord has not done all this. For they are a nation void of counsel, neither is there any understanding in them. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's go to 29. It says, oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, that they would consider their latter end. So even though the Most High sent our enemies against us to punish us, to correct us, to discipline us, even though he sent these people against us, the way they treated us once we were given to them and put in their hands was so far left of what should have happened. As we know through history, all these atrocious things that happened to our people, they went too far. And the Most High has, there's a plan for judgment and repayment and recompense that goes along with how they treated us, even though the Most High gave us to them for our own, for our correction, for our punishment, because we were going off. Okay, let's go to, okay, yeah, we're gonna get into, actually, let's go to Zechariah 9 and 6, I believe that is. More on these Ashkenazi Jews, Ashkenazi Jewish people. Okay. Zechariah chapter 9 verse 6. Okay. And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod. Okay. Ashdod is modern day Tel Aviv, right? Capital of Israel. The capital of Israel. Modern day Israel. And a bastard, which is referring to those people who live there today, which is an illegitimate child. They are not the children of the Most High. And we're going to get into that. They're actually, there are different classifications for different nations of people, right? Israel is known as the sons of God. Yasharallah is the prince of the power, right? We're the sons, the firstborns of the Most High God, sons of God. There are children of men, which are the Hamites and the Arabians. The Hamites and other Shemites, right? And then there are the sons of Satan, which are these Edomites, these Caucasian races, which are always synonymous with Lucifer and Satan. And we'll get to that. But it says, and a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines, right? So those people in Israel today are not the Israelites, not the true Israelites. And those people in Palestine today are not the true, the original Palestinians. Those are people from the Ottoman Church. Okay. Let's get that in Revelations. Okay. More on these Ashkenazi Jewish people who claim to be the Israelites of the Bible, the Jews of the Bible, the chosen people of the Most High, the sons of God. Let's get a little bit more on these people. Revelations chapter 2 verse 9. Revelations chapter 2 verse 9, it says, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty. Pause. Okay. If you know anything about money in this world, which I'm not saying I do, but these Ashkenazi Khazar Jewish people, these bastards that dwell in Ashdod, these people, they rule everything, especially financially. Okay, these are the same people who set up the Federal Reserve, which cause all these countries to go into debt with these to go into debt with these Khazars, and which is how they built most of their wealth. Okay, not to mention slave labor and all this other stuff. But these people, these Ashkenazi Jewish people, they are not in poverty. They run this world. Edomites as a whole, this Caucasian race, is in rulership and have been since the Greeks came into power. Okay, but the Ashkenazi Jewish people, these are the cream of the crop elite Edomites. These are the people you think of when you think of who run the Federal Reserve, the media, right? All this propaganda that they push through media, the TV, the educational system. All this is controlled. It all, everything trickles down from the influence of money. Okay, they are the people in power that mold what this society is going to be and what direction the masses move in. Okay, so they are the Most High, and Revelations 2:9 says, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty. So we know we are not speaking about them at the beginning of this verse. We're speaking about the true Israelites, that people, the Native Americans, Latin Americans, and African Americans, who are in poverty and go through oppression and affliction every day in this country, right? I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Okay? So, if you know anything about these fake Jewish people, these are the people that worship in synagogues. Okay, so it's not a difficult correlation to make with these people, because these are the people from 1948 and before that till this day that call themselves Israelites, but they live in the land of Israel, which according to the Bible, with the verses I gave you and multiple other ones, which I probably won't get to today, the true people of the Most High would not be in the land, okay, until heaven is restored on earth. Okay, so it says, I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, speaking to the true Israelites, but thou art rich. Because this whole Bible, the promises, covenants, all the blessings are for the true Hebrew Israelites. Even Christ, he only came and died for Hebrew Israelites. Okay, and we're going to prove that in another video too, probably when we get to salvation, right? That will be a good video to do. We'll get to that a little later. But it says, I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Okay? Let's go to Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. Says, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. So we know from the jump that the Most High is dealing with Israel, none else, and that we are the people he loves. And it says that these imposters, these people who claim to be Jews and are not but do lie, are the synagogue of Satan, and he is going to make them come and worship at the true chosen people's feet. Okay, and we'll get into that with the judgment and the future of these other nations. Okay, them worshiping at our feet, because when the Most High establishes the New Jerusalem, the kingdom of heaven on earth, then all these other nations are going to have to worship at our feet like we worship Yahushua. Okay? And we'll get into that probably in a different video too. But let's get into a little bit more. That's enough on the Ashkenazi Jews. The people who say they are Jews and they're not, the people who live in the land but are not the original inhabitants, right? So we're going to go to the history that is not being taught about Native Americans, Latin Americans, and African Americans, right? Which are the true Hebrew Israelites according to the Bible. Okay, there's a movie on, I believe it's on like Hulu or some shit like that, but it's a movie called 1492, and it's called 1492 Conquest of Paradise, right? And it's about Christopher Columbus coming over here with the conquistadors, and his understanding of there being land east of Europe, right? Okay, and he tells you that this, in the book of Esdras, which is what I'm about to read to you, it tells you that there are Hebrew Israelites that migrated from Israel to a land where nobody ever dwelt. Okay, a lot of people want to say that there's a common understanding that the Native Americans and the Taino Indians, which a lot of people refer to them as Latin Americans. The Taino Indians and the Native Americans they are the first people to this land, but that does not make them indigenous to this land, contrary to what this educational system will teach you. Okay, and the truth is out there and the history is out here where we can go back and fact check all this stuff and make sure that what we have been taught is the truth. And a lot of what we have been taught, especially as Latin, Native, and African Americans, is a lie because they are hiding our history from us, right? So these Native Americans and Taino Indians they're not indigenous to North and South America, but they are the first people to live here and settle here. Okay, so this is technically still their land. But we're going to get into this, and this is going to touch on Natives and Taino Indians, the Latin Americans, specifically, because like I said, okay, in that movie 1492, Columbus is speaking with, I want to say, some maybe priest or some shit like that, some other Edomite. He's speaking to an Edomite and he's explaining that he knows that there is land to the east of Europe because it says so in the book of Esdras. Okay, and the other dude's like, Esdras is a Jew. Okay, and he kind of puts him down for he puts him down for believing in Esdras because he's a Jew, but his comeback is, but so is Christ. Christ is a Jew too, right? So this is let's see if I can find it. Okay. Second Esdras chapter 13 verse 40. Okay, this is explaining how Christopher Columbus himself knew that there was land over here, which we know is North and South America, and that the truth, contrary to what they teach you in the public school system, they teach that he was trying to find a shorter route to Asia, but history and the things they put out prove that Christopher Columbus knew that there was land over here, a new land over here, and that there were Hebrew Israelites inhabiting this land, namely the North Americans and the Taino Indians. Okay, and that's why that's also why Christopher Columbus, when he made the journey to North and South America, right, he took Hebrew Israelites with him as translators, because he knew there was no way he would be able to interact with the native people of this land without an interpreter. Okay, so he took Hebrew Israelite slaves which spoke Hebrew to North and South America for translators, because he knew from 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 40 and on down that there were Hebrew Israelites here. And we're going to read this. Let's say it says, "Those are the 10 tribes which are carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Osea the king, whom Salmanasar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land." Okay, so the northern tribe of Israel, which is the Latin and Northern Americans, the Puerto Ricans, Brazilians, Mexicans, all these people we believe to be Latin Americans, these are the northern tribe of the children of Israel. Okay, and they were carried away captives by the Assyrians. That's what we're reading. Verse 41. Okay, I'm sorry, let's read 40 again. "Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Osea the king, who Salmanasar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters." Okay, and so came they into another land. "But they took this counsel amongst themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country, okay, where never mankind dwelt." Okay, so they were taken captive, and they take counsel amongst themselves and say that we're going to leave these heathen, and they come into a land where never mankind dwelt. This is North and South America, okay, because we know back in these biblical times, the Eastern Hemisphere was known land. Okay, even Asia and things of this nature to the did I say east earlier? I did. But anyways, the lands to the east of Israel and Europe and Northwest Africa and all this, these were known lands already. Okay, it says, "But they took this counsel amongst themselves, that they would have the multitude of the heathen, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land." Okay, so historical facts on how we know the Native Americans and Latin Americans are Israelites. Like it says here, their plan was to get away from the Assyrians, go into a land where never mankind dwelt, and then start keeping the law, statutes, and commandments where they weren't keeping in their own land. Okay, and evidence of this is a lot of the customs of the natives, even down to their clothes. Right, if you look at pictures of Native American and Taino Indian dress, their clothing, they have fringes on the border of their garments, okay, and with ribbons of blue. And this is a commandment going back to Numbers 15:38, where we are commanded to wearing fringes and borders of blue to remember the commandments, right? So, and also the oldest archaeological evidence of Paleo-Hebrew and ancient Hebrew writings are found in North America. North and South America, I should say, and Central America. Right? From the Joseph Stone to a whole bunch of different artifacts, even the pyramids that are set up on this side of the world, which resemble in a lot of ways the pyramids in Egypt and in Babylon and things of this nature. These Israelites had knowledge of pyramids and structures and the Paleo-Hebrew and languages and customs because they are in fact Israelites. Okay? It says that they might there keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. And this is another point to make. Like I read earlier, the commandments were given to us and we had a choice of keeping them and being blessed and not following them and being cursed. Every time we fall off and we're not keeping the commandments, the punishment, the correction that comes from the Most High is slavery. Okay? We lose wars and then we go into slavery by these other nations, by these heathen nations, right? So they were carried away captives by the Assyrians because they weren't keeping the law, statutes, and commandments in the first place. So when they get caught captive and they leave these heathens and go into this new land, then they decide that they're going to start keeping these commandments. And there's evidence, like I said, that these are these people. But as we know, they start, even though the original plan was to keep the law, statutes, and commandments given by the Most High, they went off, they went left, and they start worshiping other gods, right? So, just a little bit more on this. It says, and they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. Okay, so it says the Most High then showed signs for them, right? We know from biblical accounts that the tribe of Issachar and other Native Americans and Latin Americans, the northern tribe of Israel, were given the understanding of stars. Okay, they could interpret stars and then relay messages to Israel about what things are happening, right? What signs are being shown and what's being revealed to them through the signs that the Most High has given them wisdom to understand. Okay, so it says, and that's even evident in just history and what they say about these, the Northern Kingdom, which are the Native and Latin Americans, like the Mayans, right? People still praise the Mayans today in this modern society for having calendars and a cycle of time that is more precise than our own. Okay? They had knowledge of the stars and times. Okay? And it says, for the Most High then shewed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go. Namely, okay, stop right there. Back to that movie 1492, The Conquest of Paradise. During this dialogue that Columbus is having with this priest, or whoever he may be, the question arises, how far away is the land, or something of that nature. And the response that Christopher Columbus gives him is that it's about, I forget how many nautical miles or whatever he said it was, but he said that it's about a year and a half away, right? And this is where he's getting at. This is why he said, according to Second Esdras, I believe this is there's new land over here, and we can go to this new land, explore, and see if there's any resources and all this other stuff, right? So it says, for through that country was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, right? And the same region is called Asareth. Okay, so dealing with this word Asareth, there's books on this. I believe one of the books' title is the Promised Land and the 10 Tribes of Israel, or something to that effect, right? But there are books that show you and explain what I'm saying in detail about from Columbus bringing Hebrew slaves over here because he knew he needed translators once he got here to this land, Asareth, being understood to be North and South America, right? In other biblical verses, it's referred to as the land of the North. But it says, for through that country there was a great way to go, namely of 1.5 years, and the same region is called Asareth. Then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. Okay, so it's telling us that these 10 tribes that moved into this land that never mankind dwelt, they would live here until the latter times, and that's important. Okay, that's key to other verses and other lessons we're going to get into, and we're going to get into this partially today in this video, how these people are in North America, and the southern tribe or the southern kingdom of Israel, which is the tribes of Judah, Levi, and Benjamin. These people would be not only the northern kingdom would be here in North and South America, as we're explaining now through Second Esdras, but the southern kingdom of Israel at a different time would forcibly be moved to this same region, which is North and South America, and we'll get into that. But it says, for through that country there was a great way to go, namely of 1.5 years, and the same region is called Asareth. Then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. Okay, so we're done with that one. Let's go to let's go to Ezekiel 37, because I made a statement in one of the other videos, I believe the Iconoclast video, that these nations, what I'm talking about now, the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah, are one nation of people, essentially, that were divided into two nations. Okay, and I'm going to get the account for you. Ezekiel 37. This one nation of people who are God's chosen people were divided. And right here in Ezekiel chapter 37, let's start at verse 19. Okay. Say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, his fellows, and I will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. Okay, so this is the introduction to the northern kingdom and southern kingdom being split. Okay, and them coming back together. So this is a whole picture of the split and them coming back together. It says, say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, his fellows. So the tribe of Joseph, Ephraim, is the head tribe of the northern kingdom, and they're referred to as Israel. Okay. And will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah. Judah is the southern kingdom. Okay. The Jews, the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Levi, and the Benjamites. It says, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be in mine hand, one in mine hand. And the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes. Okay. Verse 21. And say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and I will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land. And this is going back to the true children of Israel not being in the land of Israel until the latter days, right? We just read that the northern kingdom is in North and South America, specifically the Native Americans and the Taino Indians that originally were the first people to inhabit this land, right? So it says, thus, and say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel. And one king shall be king to them all, and they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all. So it's you have to understand that at one point this one nation of people were split and considered themselves different nations of people. This is going to get into the lesson of the New Testament, the term Gentiles. Okay, the northern kingdom being Ephraim and his fellows, the Latin American and Native Americans. These people were more susceptible to mixing among other nations, the heathens, okay? These were the people that they stopped keeping the law, statutes, and commandments like we just read in 2nd Esdras. So they were taken captives away by the Assyrians, okay? And these are also the same people who are being called Gentiles in the New Testament. Okay, contrary to popular belief, the New Testament does not adopt all these other nations into the covenant or the promises of the Bible. The Gentiles of the New Testament, even the proselytes and the Hellenists and the Grecians, these are all Hebrew Israelites who were taking on the custom of these other nations. Either by choice or by law of these other nations were forced into worshiping and conducting themselves as these other nations, right? Assimilating into their traditions. Okay, so it says, and I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all. That king is Yahushua, the Christ, the Messiah. Okay, it says, and they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and I will cleanse them, so shall they be my people, and I will be their God. Okay? So, that last verse, they defiled themselves with idols. That's why they were being called Gentiles by the southern kingdom, which is Judah, which for the most part was still in their heritage, still was keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay? So the northern kingdom, which is Israel, the Latin and Native Americans, were more susceptible to mixing with other races, as far as marriages, as far as their culture, assimilating themselves with them. And this is why they were called Gentiles in the New Testament, called uncircumcision, right? Let's go to Jeremiah 3:18. I think that's a good place to go. Jeremiah 3:18. All right, Jeremiah 3:18. Okay. Like I said, the northern tribe and the northern kingdom, Israel, is in the land of Asareth, land where never mankind dwelt. Okay, and like I said, the southern kingdom at a different time and point in history would be forcibly moved to the same land. Okay, so Jeremiah 3:18 is talking about after these days when these two tribes are being gathered together, like I just read in Ezekiel 37, right? It says, Jeremiah 3:18, in those days the house of Judah shall walk with the house of Israel, and they shall come together out of the land of the north to the land that I have given for an inheritance unto your fathers. Okay, so proving once again that these people are not in the land of Israel, and that in those days, as it says, which is the latter days, the end times, the house of Judah shall walk with the house of Israel and shall come together out of the land of the north. So they're together, right? To the land that I have given for an inheritance, which is what we've been talking about, the inheritance of this people. And they shall come together out of the land of the north to the land that I have given for an inheritance unto your fathers. Right? Okay, so let's go to Isaiah 1. Because this heritage thing is a big part in this Bible. Let's go to just another precept on our heritage, right? Okay. Isaiah chapter 1, and we'll go to verse 3. Right? It says, the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider. Like I said, the true Hebrew Israelites do not necessarily, for the most part, know who they are. Okay, this is something that has been taken from them and hid from them for generation to generation. Okay. It says the ox knoweth his owner and the ass his master's crib. These are two dumb animals that know who they belong to and know where they live, know their home, right? But it says, but Israel, the Most High's chosen people, right? Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider, meaning we don't even think about who we are as a people at this present time. Right? I mean, there are people waking up around the world, but for the most part, still, we do not even consider what our history is, who we descend from, who we truly are, and what our place is in this world, why we were created, why we are in the position we're in today. People are not thinking about these things, okay? But in these last days, which is the days we're living in today, this nation of people is going to start waking up and remembering who we are, and this is happening worldwide at this moment, okay? But this just goes to show this heritage thing over years and years of these other nations coming against us with these plans that they are of one consent together. They come together and make sure that it was possible over the years for us to forget ourselves. Okay? Let's go to Luke. Now let's go to Joel. I think that's what I want. Joel. Okay, let's go to Joel chapter 3, verse 3. Let's start at 3. Okay. This is another passage about the Israelites and their history, what they've been going through in these interactions with other people. And these, let's read it. It says, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Okay, so with the introduction to this verse, we're going to get into this portion of the video from here on out is going to be specifically designed around the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, this is history that African Americans, Native Americans, Latin Americans, even all these nations around the world are familiar with the transatlantic slave trade. This is a unique history to Native, Latin, and African Americans. Okay, it's a unique history that only we went through. Okay, and it's a reason for that. And it's gonna start. This history is gonna start tying in with the Bible more and more as we go along with this video, and I'm going to show you that all these major events in history, ours and everyone else's, is recorded in this Bible. Okay, and for different reasons, denoting different purposes, right? But Joel chapter 3 verse 3, and they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. Okay, so during slavery, they would bid for us on auction blocks. They would cast lots for us, right? And it says, they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for an harlot. This is what you know as buck breaking, right? This can be equated with a few things, actually. It says you have given a boy for an harlot, which is prostitution. Okay, just like during the slavery, the transatlantic slave trade, once we got here on these plantations in America, they caused the men to breed the bigger, stronger men, the biggest, strongest men, which like the NFL today, like heard somebody say it stand for niggas fucking large, right? The biggest niggas they could find, they would breed to have bigger, stronger slave babies. Okay? And this is recorded in history. Okay, they had breeders specifically to get the biggest, strongest slaves as far as our children go, the next generation, just to keep the plantations running and all this here, right? It say they have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine. Okay, three nations that were, for the most part, involved in the transatlantic slave trade are the Caucasians, Edomites, the Africans, Hamites, and the Arabs, Ishmaelites. Okay, so it says, and have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. We know that as slaves, the Africans sold us to the Arabs and the white man for mustard, guns, and wine, right? Mustard, guns, and wine. This is historical facts that we find not only in the Bible, not only in these history books that they give us, but this Bible that they won't teach us. Okay? Joel chapter 3 verse 6, we're going to skip to verse 6. It says, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Okay, so during these slaveries, it's giving you a specific time in our history and specific slavery. It says, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians. We know these Grecians that is referring to are these Caucasian people, the Edomites. Okay, Edomites, these Caucasian people are being referred to as Grecians here to give you a specific time in history. Okay, we know that the Greeks came into power under Alexander, right? Alexander the Greek, Alexander the Greek. And it says, the children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem, which are Israelites, have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Just going to show again that these people would not be in the land of Israel. Okay? And we're going to get more on these people who participated in the transatlantic slave trade, and then we're also going to get into details about the transatlantic slave trade in the Bible that is undeniable, right? Which is probably the heaviest chapter in the Bible. The go-to scriptures you go to identify who the people of the Bible are, right? And we're going to get into that a little later, but let's go to Luke chapter 21, verse 20 through, I believe, 24. Luke Luke 21. Let's see. Okay. Luke 21:20. Okay. So we're talking about these people, this nation of Israel, and what I just read about the children of Judah and the children of Jerusalem being sold unto the Grecians. Okay, this is going into the transatlantic slave trade, right? And really, before we can get into the transatlantic slave trade, to connect this and bring this full circle, I have to show you not only the transatlantic slave trade, but what happened before this, right? Because I'm telling you that the Latin, Native, and African Americans are Israelites. Then why did the slave ships pick up these slaves from Africa, right? Okay, so we're going to get into what happened before the slave ships and before these Israelites migrated into Africa, and why that happened, right? Luke chapter 21, verse 20. It says, "And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. And let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains." Okay, pause right there. When it says, let them which are in Judea flee into the mountains, going back to the story of Moses, Joseph, and Yahushua, Jesus the Christ, every time the Israelites had a problem where they were being persecuted in their own land, they would flee into, for most cases, Egypt. Okay, they would flee into Egypt, which is the beginning of Africa, right? And Africa and Egypt are referred to numerous times throughout the Bible as the mountains, okay? This is their place of refuge when they are being persecuted in their own land. It says, when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies. These are Roman armies being besieging Jerusalem, okay, in 70 AD, 65 to 70 AD. It says, and when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. Okay, this is Yahushua telling these people from experience, when this happens, flee into the mountains, which is a place where he himself with his family fled to in fear of his life. Okay, so let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Pause right there. Okay, this is a start of our punishment. Like I said, every time we disobey the Most High and disobey His commandments, we are sent into slavery as a nation of people. Okay, so it says, "For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled." So I was reading in Deuteronomy 11 that these commandments were given to us to be either a blessing or a curse, depending on what we chose to do. Okay. And okay, it says that all things which are written may be fulfilled. We're going to get into those things which were written, which this is the starting point for all these things going down. Okay, so this is going before the transatlantic slave trade, where we were taken from Africa to the Americas on ships. Okay, it says, "For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be a great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captives." Remember this. "They shall be led away captives into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled." Okay, so again, this is another precept showing you that these people that are in the land today are not Israelites. They are other nations. They are not the true Hebrew Israelites. It says, "The true people, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captives into all nations, out of their own land," right? "And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled." So Jerusalem, being the land of Israel, would be overrun by other nations, right? Controlled by other nations. And it says, I don't know if I want to get that. Let's see. Okay, and we're going to stop there. Okay, so that's the start of it. 70 AD, Jerusalem was compassed around by Roman armies, which caused them to flee into the mountains, and from this point we were led away captives into all nations. That's a key point. We're going to get into that. It says we were led away captives into all nations, right? Some of you might know this, others who aren't familiar with the history. The Israelites at one point in time in history served as slaves under every other nation of people today. Okay? The Most High's chosen people have been so hard-headed and stiff-necked and didn't want to do what the Most High required of them. So they were led away captives into all nations, and at one point in time, every other nation had us in slavery. Okay, and all these great societies, all these great empires, all these great kingdoms were built up off the backs of Hebrew slaves, and that's a fact. Okay, from the Great Wall in China to Pithom and Ramses and the towns of Pithom and Ramses in Egypt, to Babylon, to the Medes and the Persians, the Sumerians. These great societies were possible because of slave labor of Hebrew Israelites, just like America was created and possible because of the slave labor of Hebrew Israelites. Okay? And this is why we're doing this lesson on the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, and like I just said, we were led away captives into all nations. All nations. And this is key for this next point. We're going to go to Revelation 13:9. Revelation chapter 13. Chapter 13, verse 9. "If any man have an ear, let him hear." Okay? So, if you have the ability to grasp understanding, understand this. If any man have an ear, let him hear. Right? Because like I said, this whole Bible is the history and the heritage of Hebrew Israelites, one nation of people. Like I just said, we were led away captives and spent time in slavery under every nation under heaven, right? If any man have an ear, let him hear, let them understand. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Okay, so if you had us, for just long story short, if you at any time, which every other nation have had us in captivity, the Most High's chosen people, then at the end of this, you are going into captivity. When the kingdom of heaven is established on earth, and paradise, this is what paradise is according to the Bible, according to the Word of God. Paradise for the Israelites is when they rule over their oppressors, when they are the ruling kingdom of the earth, and everyone falls in line with what is going on according to the Word of God. Okay, and we're going to get that. Let's go to Isaiah 14 and 1. Isaiah 14 and 1. It says, "For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel." So even though Israel is constantly going off and constantly walking contrary to the Most High and His commandments and what He requires of us, even though we are so hard-headed and stiff-necked and unreasonable, it says, "For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land." Another precept talking about the Most High having to gather these people from a foreign country and put them in their original land. Okay? "For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob." Okay, so these strangers are these other nations. These people who have had us in captivity, these people who have ruled over us. Okay? "And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob." Okay? "And the people shall take them," the Israelites shall take them by force. Okay? "And bring them to their place." We're going to take them by force and bring them to the land of Israel. Okay? And it says, "And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids." Okay, these people, these other nations, like I was going into, were created to serve us. So in the kingdom of heaven that is going to be established on earth, these people are going to be taken captives as handmaids and servants. Okay, it says, "And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were." Going back to Revelation 13 and 9 and 10, where it says, "He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword." Right? It says, "And they shall take them captives, who captives they were." We were captives, we were slaves under every other nation. So all these other nations will be serving us, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Okay, we're being oppressed in this society. Anybody can open up their eyes and see that. Every day more people are being shot and killed in these streets. Hung. There's still lynchings going on where people are being hung. There was a young Jake hung from a bridge with a metal chain. I don't even remember what town it was in, but it was recent. This is still going on today. Nothing has changed, right? So it says, "And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest," right? In the end times, When our kingdom is established and these white men are put under us in their rightful place, it says, and it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve. Okay, so this is coming back to a recompense on these nations for how they treated the Most High's chosen people, and what this is going to mean in the future for these other people and for the nation of Israel. Okay. I want to touch on this thing. It says, and they shall take them captives, who captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Just more biblical understanding on what is going on today, right? Let's go to Habakkuk 1 and 4. I believe that's what I want. Habakkuk 1 and 4. Yeah. Okay. So in this society, is this what I want? Yeah, we can start with this. Actually, let's go to Zechariah first. Let's go to Zechariah 11. I believe it's 11. Zechariah 11:4 says, okay, Zechariah 11 verse 4. Thus saith the Lord my God, feed the flock of the slaughter, whose possessors slay them. Okay, so I was explaining that we've been captives under every other nation, right? We were their possession, we were their slaves, their property, and we're still looked at. It's still on the books that we are considered 3/5 of a human being, when in fact, if anybody is anything less than a human being, it would be the Caucasian race, who has no hue in their skin, no melanin of skin, right? That's what human means, a man of color. Hue man, a man of color, right? But it says, verse 5, whose possessors slay them. Okay, we know that we're getting shot down in these streets and killed left and right, which is it doesn't make any sense to have these things happen, have us see all this stuff and then not question it at all, not think about what we can do to prevent these things from happening, and making sure that these people get the justice they deserve, as far as these people who are killing our children in these streets, right? Whose possessors slay them, they kill us, and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. Okay? This is what's going on today. They kill us in our streets while they patrol our neighborhoods, and they are killing our children, and every time the verdict comes in, it's not guilty. Okay? Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. Right? Our own leaders are not even, they do not, there are people who will voice an opinion about what is going on to our nation, but there is not any leader that we can set up above us to lead us, that is going to take action and get things done the way we need it to happen. Okay, because this is warfare that has been waged on us since Greek and Roman times, if you really want to get into it. But like I said, we're focusing on the transatlantic slave trade. So this is a war that has been waged on us since 1619, when the first slave ships brought us from the west coast of Africa to Jamestown, Virginia. Okay, so it says, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. Our leaders are, if anything, especially these Christian ministers and pastors, Pastor Porkchop and Pastor Do What Thy Wilt, these people are, if anything, they're profiting off of our ignorance and us not knowing our own history. Okay? Especially because they racking in them churches, collecting all your money to buy them Benzes and planes and shit, when most of their congregation don't have food to survive and to feed their family, but they're sowing this money, these seeds, in hope to make something, to manifest the blessing through faith. But you're selling them lies and blasphemy for the most part. What you are teaching them is not biblical. Okay? You're teaching them smooth things like they say y'all want to hear smooth things, something that is happy-go-lucky, something that's going to make you feel good about yourself. It's not going to make you reflect on your actions or who you are and look in the mirror and take action for your community and your nation. Okay? Because this revolution is, our warfare is spiritual, and the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, right? But the spiritual warfare will have a physical side to it. No revolution has ever been won or acquired without bloodshed. Okay, this is going to have a physical aspect to this spiritual warfare. Okay, let's go to, okay, just to finish this out before we get into Deuteronomy 28, I might actually just make a part 2 to do Deuteronomy 28 and Lamentations 5, and then a few other correlating verses to expound on the transatlantic slave trade, right? This is the setup for it. But last verse I want to give you before we really get into it, Habakkuk 1 and 4. Habakkuk 1 and 4. We just read that our possessors slay us and hold themselves not guilty, right? And we can get more into that, these police and their position and what their real job and duty and responsibility to their nation is, and what their agenda is, right? But Habakkuk chapter 1 verse 4. Therefore the law is slacked, and judgment doth never go forth. For the wicked, remember that word that's synonymous with these Caucasians, this Edomite nation. Therefore the law is slacked, and judgment doth never go forth. For the wicked doth compass about the righteous, therefore wrong judgment proceedeth. This is why they can kill us and get off, even when the evidence is on tape that we were killed for no reason. Okay? They can make up what they want because they control this unjust justice system. Okay? The law is slack, and judgment doth never go forth. For the wicked doth compass the righteous, where therefore wrong judgment proceedeth. Okay? Say when the wicked is in rule, the people of the earth are in mourning. Okay? This video has been pretty long already. I think I'm gonna make a part 2, maybe even a part 3, but I believe I'm gonna make a part 2 on this, going more in detail into the transatlantic slave trade and Native American, Latin Americans, and so-called African Americans being the true Hebrew Israelites of the Bible, according to the Bible and according to history and all relevant facts, be it scientific, archaeological, historical, or biblical. Everything points in one direction as these people being the Hebrew Israelites of the Bible. Okay, so with that, I want to thank y'all for hanging in there. Hope y'all were paying attention, taking notes, following along in your Bible. Appreciate y'all for watching. Shalom, Yasharallah, Kahala, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah. Barakatah. Y'all take it easy, man.